Hello, my name's Isabi, and I'll be showing you how to play Insmart's latest entry, Rush Hour. If you aren't familiar with Rush Hour yet, it's an Uno-inspired Insmart that lets you play without a host and a small player count. That's a first for the series, by the way. Right now, the game's currently an exclusive to the soon-releasing Insmart Variety Collector's Edition, but it will eventually be released on its own with a digital version. Now, dare I say, Rush Hour might be the most complicated in the series yet. It's not necessarily going to give you an aneurysm, but its mechanics you gotta get a grip on before playing. Instead of starting with those though, let's start like an actual rulebook. So, like I said earlier, Insmart Rush Hour plays like Uno. You'll begin the game by shuffling both the roll and move deck, which obviously should be separated. Once you've done that, pass every player a single roll card. Remember, this is secret until it is revealed. Don't be a dumb and reveal it out of the gate, just like what I'm about to do. As you can see, I drew the Genius roll. What a convenient example. Looking at this oddly ominous card, you can see these icons up here. These are roll conditions, and they're one of the main things about Insmart Rush Hour. That's why they're on all the branding. Basically, these icons mean your roll has a special condition. For example, the Genius has the expendable roll condition, which means he loses his ability upon his roll being revealed. What's a roll ability? The ability of a roll is the text you see on the bottom, though this isn't always a quote-unquote ability, but it's a good enough general term. The Genius's ability is that he loses his roll conditions upon reveal. Wait, if that is his ability, wouldn't nothing happen upon reveal? Well, something good to know is sometimes these conditions are just here because they're fitting or already suggested. So yes, the expendable condition would technically make this card overpowered, but in reality it kinda does nothing here. We'll get more into roll conditions later on. If you're in the future and already have a copy of the game right now though, your rulebook has a handy dandy table that tells you all the roll conditions, easy peasy. So after everyone's gotten their rolls, pass everyone 7 cards from the move deck. You can tell it's the move deck because it says move on the back. Now, there are 6 types of move cards, and usually what's in the bottom left will tell you what it is, except for 2 card types. The 6 types are regular, does nothing, you just play them to get rid of them. Add, will add cards to the next player in rotation, unless it's an add to. That card you can target who you add to. Guard, I'll explain those on their own. Special, usually calls for 2 players to directly interact and will also normally allow betting. Slick only, can only be used by rolls with the slick condition. Keen only, can only be used by rolls with the keen condition. After everyone's hands are complete, it's time to play, but that discard pile's empty. In that case, when the discard pile's empty or the card on top is a special card, you may play any regular or add card. After that, any card's legal as long as the color or number matches, with the exception of special cards because they're purple and have that f***ing interrobang. If you don't have anything legal to play, draw from the move deck until you have something playable. You can also just draw a single time for your turn even if you do have something playable, by choice. You don't have to play what you draw though. But wait, before you play anything, check your hand for any guard cards. Unless your roll allows you to, you need to place those down face up near you. Beside each other, there's multiple. Guard cards are the direct counter to add cards. How they work is as follows. When cards are added onto you, that little number on your guard card is the value of your guard card. That value shows how many cards it can handle. For 1 value guard cards, they break for each individual card. For ultra guards, they sustain single cards and break for each 2 cards. When guard cards break, they go under the top card of the discard pile. If they sustain, they just stay as is. And after that, we've covered most of the core gameplay loop. But one common thing is betting. Most special cards allow you to bet, meaning you can select an amount of cards that you'll either lose or gain. If a card allows you to bet, it'll have this special indicator, also known as a support. This range beside the icon shows how many cards you have to bet, but there's more rules to the amount to keep things in check. For starters, the bet amount can't leave the winner with less than 5 cards, not counting guards or the blackjack roll condition. That has a special rule for later. Both players actually need to have 6 cards in their hand a minimum, and the victim, aka the player you're proposing the bet to, can't have a revealed roll. If the card's specified minimum bet amount will leave someone with less than 5 cards anyway, you're allowed to shrink it to fit the 5-card rule. When someone's betting, they have to start out by saying the amount they're betting, and the victim can't deny the bet. How the attacker wins depends on the card. For Confront, if they guess the roll correctly, they win, and the victim's roll is revealed. If they guess wrong, the victim wins. If the attacker decides not to try and guess the roll, the bet's forfeit, meaning nothing happens and you both move on. For Count, the attacker wins if they guess correctly. If the victim has an equal amount of regular and ad cards, the attacker will lose no matter what they guess. And well, if the attacker guesses wrong, the victim wins. For Case, the victim wins if they guess correctly. If they guess wrong, the attacker wins. When someone wins a bet, they'll hand cards from their hand to the loser. They can choose which cards they give, but obviously, these can't be guard cards. Guards aren't jack in bets. Speaking of jack, if you have the blackjack roll condition to win a bet that'll put you at less than 5 cards, you just stop giving cards as soon as your card count hits 5. Continuing on cards, you also probably noticed I mentioned supports. There's only 3 of them to worry about, and they're very simple. I explained this one earlier. Tells you if you can bet with it and how much you can bet. I also showed this one, tells you the guard value. However, there's another one, this. In order to balance things out a little, certain cards are segmented. You'll need 2 of them to use the fancy schmancy ability. If you want to play just one by itself, then it's a regular card. Speaking of which, let's go back to the roll conditions. There are 8 of them total. Keen and Slick will let you use their respective card types. Betless, you can't lose your cards from bets. If you win, you just have to keep them. Blackjack, you lose double the amount of cards from bets. Sturdy, all your guards are double their value. Frail, whatever's added onto you is doubled. Reckless, when you utilize your ability, your roll is revealed. Expendable, when your roll is revealed, you lose your ability. Roll revealing really isn't a complicated subject. The moment someone figures out your roll with 100% certainty, usually through a special card but that can also be external means, that's your roll being revealed. When that happens, you have to place your roll card down face up for everyone to see. Great, I read through this thing however many times now and I still make these stupid f***ing typos. That's all I have to share on Insmart Rush Hour. The rulebook should work well enough as a reference provided you don't murder me for somehow causing this to happen. But if anyone needs extra clarity or a break from those typos, save this video so you have it on hand. Toodaloo! Or whatever the hell. Insmart Variety Collector's Edition is scheduled to release on December 24th, 2025. If I were you, I'd save that Christmas money to get yourself a nice fresh copy of Insmart Rush Hour.